Everyone, welcome to today's show. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to supercharge your awareness and understand what's going on in the collective so you can make the best steps possible for yourself and your family and your loved ones. So you don't want to miss today's show. My name is Michelle Marie, and I am a Vedic astrologer. And welcome to today's update. It is March 12th, 2025. And today is Miércoles, Mercury Day. That's Wednesday, and it is ruled by Lord Mercury. There he is. So Mercury rules our divine intellect. What is the divine intellect? The intellect is something that we can carry from birth to birth. In Vedantic study, the reason behind child prodigies, children that are born knowing instruments and things like that, is because they're carrying what are called samskaras, past life impressions from birth to birth to birth, and it's our intellect literally compounding upon itself with each birth. Vedanta believes that we literally start from mineral to plant to animal to human, and then we rise up to those higher realms of being and thinking. So when I say strengthening your awareness, I'm not just talking about this birth and this time. I'm talking about your soul's awareness and how you can develop it in a way that allows you to access those higher realms and ways of thinking and being. And that divine discernment is so important in today's landscape because there's a lot of change coming our way and we need to be prepared for that. So a really good mantra that you can do for Lord Mercury today is, and it's a seed mantra, Om Brahm Brim Braum Sa Budaya Namaha. You can do that 108 times via a mala. And as you do that, imagine focusing your energy on your throat chakra, your Vishuddha, that's what Mercury rules, and asking him to enlighten your mind and your intellect in the way that you see the world. That's a beautiful mantra you can do before tests and exams, and especially when you're learning something new. So that's just something you can do today. Now I'll talk about the Adi Devata. The Adi Devata is Vishnu. Vishnu is the preserver. There is a trimurti in Vedanta. There is Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. And we need all three. They all represent source and how this divine plane and all the planes work. And what that means is that Vishnu can preserve the intellect from birth to birth to birth in order for us to continue to grow on our spiritual journey as both human beings and other beings and other planes and realms of existence as well. So we pray to the preserver to help us with the intellect from birth to birth and during each lifetime. And a really good mantra you can do for Vishnu is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And as you do this mantra, just pray to Lord Vishnu to preserve your intellect and all of the good things, and that can help you as well. And then the Pratyadi Devata. This is who helps us with our spiritual journey from birth to birth to birth. This is the creator of the universe and the indweller of all beings. He's known as Narayana. Now, Narayana looks a little like Vishnu because he's the great preserver, okay? And I want to go into the astrology for the day. Lots going on in the sky. We have an exact Mercury-Venus conjunction in sidereal Pisces. So if you guys have been having some cool dreams, I know I had one last night. That's what's going on there. We also have Rahu and Neptune together in sidereal Pisces as well. They're about 11 degrees away from Venus and Mercury, so they're not as tight as they were before, meaning we can have a little bit clearer understanding of our dream world. Before it was a little more confusing. Another big thing happening at this moment right now is a Sun-Saturn conjunction. That is the kings versus the collective, the oligarchs versus everybody else. Okay, so I'm going to go into what that means for today's astrology, along with the moon cycle. Jupiter is in sidereal Taurus. That's in the 6th house of the United States. So that's really shaking up the ways that we view he's direct, the way that we view our daily routines, our health, what we need to do to move forward and stay healthy. Okay, and also it's also service to the collective as well. Mars is moving forward in sidereal Gemini. That's in the 7th house of the United States. That represents our allies. When he was retrograde, there was a lot of review going on. Now we're seeing what the new administration would like to do as far as the new allies it wants to invite into the fold. So prepare for that. The moon is in Magha Nakshatra. What is Magha? Okay, so this kind of fits the overall theme of the day. Magha is not just a movement in the United States. It's Donald Trump's ascendant. It's J.D. Vance's ascendant. It's a lot of the ascendants in the current administration. Magha is the throne. It means king. It's the sign of the oligarchs. Okay. So the moon is in Magha today. It's ruled by the Pitris. The Pitris are the ancestors, and they're associated, like I said, with kings, oligarchs, but they can also represent unchecked power. Now, the sun is meeting with Saturn today. Saturn represents the collective. They're in sidereal Aquarius, which Saturn rules in the Vedic tradition. So this is a time for us to step into our own power and to supercharge our awareness as a collective gathering as to what the heck the kings are up to. Okay, so many U.S. leaders right now are seeking to drain collective resources in favor of their own interests, whether that's flying to Mars or building hotels on the Gaza Strip, or seeking out rare earth metals in countries that are being war-torn. So how do we deal with this shadow side? A lot of the people that are in charge have this in their charts, okay? So this is the shadow side of Magha. It's arrogance, it's entitlement, it's belief in their divine right to rule and to be above others. It is a throne. Now, if used correctly, this nakshatra can be very beautiful. It can actually represent a king who keeps the collective the collective needs ahead of their own wants, because they realize that without the collective, their power doesn't exist in the first place. But in Kali Yuga, which is the dark material age, a lot of these things can get missed. Okay. Hello, Mary. Lovely to see you, dear. So I asked a little bit about what was going on with Magha, and I read to my book, What Becomes of the Soul After Death. Okay, this is from Swami Sivananda. If you go to sivananda.org, you can get your own copy. And I'm just going to read a few paragraphs before I get into the tarot and what I think they want us to follow as far as the awareness of how to move forward regarding this new empire, these new energies that are coming in to the United States and to the world at large, because it's going to cause a lot of chess pieces to move in the next 5 to 10 years. Okay. So what is death and how to conquer it? What these kings fear is death. So it's important to pay attention to the overall ideology behind this. Death is only a change of form. Death is separation from the astral body from the physical body. Why are you afraid of death? Birth follows death as waking follows sleep. You will again resume the work that was left off to you in your previous life. That's why I mentioned how Mercury is represented by Vishnu, the great preserver. We take our intellect with us from birth to birth. That's why we see child prodigies and things like that. Therefore, do not be afraid of death. Do not be afraid of death at all. You are immortal. Death is not the opposite of life. It is only a phase onto the next life. Life flows ceaselessly. The fruit perishes, but the seed is full of life. The seed dies, but a huge tree grows from that seed. The tree perishes, but it becomes coal, which has rich life. Water disappears and becomes invisible steam, which contains the seed of a new life. That's rain. The stone disappears, but it becomes lime, which is full of new life. The physical sheath is only thrown, but life persists. Now mention that he went from one element to another, a tree to coal, coal to lime. We're constantly becoming more valuable with each birth. Okay, so don't fear this death, because you're only putting on a new costume for the next one, and it's going to be even better than the one you've got now. Okay, so the knowledge of the self destroys all fear of death. That's the Atman within. Christians call it the Holy Spirit. Okay, people are unnecessarily alarmed of death, but death is only like sleep. Birth is like waking up so that you can put on a new body after death. Death is a natural incident in course. It is necessary for your evolution. When the physical body becomes unfit for further activities and use, Lord Rudra, that's in form of Shiva, takes it away and supplies a new body. He's the great destroyer, so that you have a new one after that. There is no pain at the time of death. Ignorant people have created much horror and terror regarding death. If you realize that your immortal soul, which is hidden in your heart, is of three knots: avidya, ignorance; kama, which is desire; karma, action, are rent asunder, then the chain of ignorance, non-discrimination, egoism, likes and dislikes, the karmic body is broken, and you will be freed from the rounds of birth and death, and you will enter the city of deathlessness. So we're all walking each other home, guys. We're taking on body after body, and we keep coming back based on our karma. Now, why are the kings now acting this way? So I went to the tarot for more answers, okay? And I pulled the Fool, and I pulled the Knight of Swords, okay? So this, in my opinion, is the delusion of power, okay? They think that they can evade death. They think that they can attain immortality through the material. This is incorrect, okay? The Fool card represents our purest potential. It's the very beginning of the major arcana. It's all about stepping into that unknown with innocence and trust. So when it's being misused, this energy can become very reckless, like this Knight of Swords energy. It's all about blindly chasing power, wealth, and control without really considering the consequences. So the Knight of Sword reversed, that symbolizes like those impulsive actions, those misplaced aggressions, the refusal to see reality, and the presence of the elite's obsession with control, the charge that they're leading with their ambitions. They're convinced that they can cheat death. That's if they hoard the resources and they can rewrite fate itself. Now, the Nazi Party was famous for this. They had a lot of scientists come in and try to create immortality, time machines, things like that, so that they can retain power. This all comes from the delusion of thinking you can beat death. You can't, okay? At least you can't with the material. You can with the spiritual, but they're looking at the wrong end of the telescope, okay? So this is why the rich, which represents Magha Nakshatra, which is what the moon is in today, are seeking absolute control right now. There is a fear of death and an illusion of immortality around this. The ultra wealthy believe that money can buy anything, even life itself. And if you've been in upper class environments, you can see some of this. That's why billionaires are obsessed with health care and science toward the end of their lives, because they want to stay in the body forever. They want to enjoy forever because the senses are out of control. Okay, they're senseless. There's something about them that they're attached to body-wise that they don't want to give up, and they think that when they die, they're going to lose it. Okay, so investments in life extension technologies, cryogenics, AI-driven consciousnesses, they reveal an obsession with never really facing their mortality. Okay. So this also parallels what's also coming out right now, which is this Christian rapture belief that's coming out in the evangelical communities. And many are seeking to be saved without enduring a physical death, which contradicts Jesus's teachings. So the myth of this transcendence through material wealth, that's building all of these dynasties, space colonization, we've got to go to Mars, genetic superiority projects, things like that, it all comes from fear of death. Okay. So this also brings out the need for total surveillance and social engineering. That's where a lot of our social media structures are coming from. So the Christian Reich is what I see coming out of the United States. That's a lot of strict control that ensures those who challenge authority are immediately eliminated. They're kicked out of the country. They're removed from forums. They're kept from voting. Their voices are silenced. Okay. This mass surveillance that's going on between the oligarchs and the current Christian Reich and the administration, that's mass surveillance, data tracking, corporate censorship. AI-driven policing, and that's creating a digital panopticon, so to speak. So this is on fear-based governance. And if they think that if they can control all the information that's getting out there, they can control perception and eliminate any dissent that's getting in their way of wanting to live forever because they fear death. All right. So there's this kind of religious and ideological dharma, and it's being weaponized to justify their control. This is for the good of the people. This is for the good of all. Okay. What it really means is that this is economic enslavement and means of divine justification. That's why they're using religion to do it. All right. Oligarchs believe in divine selection. If they have wealth, they must be chosen by God or fate. That's why you see this Moses Mike guy who literally comes out and says, I am Moses reincarnated because I have all this wealth. And you must follow me, for I am the God of the people. He really does believe this, you guys. Okay. So if a woman says, oh, I'm going to use my divine intuition because I'm hearing voices, it's like, witch. If a man does it, it's like he's a god. This is the patriarchy. Okay. So hoarding resources while forcing the working class into corporate servitude ensures their godlike status. That's why they're creating these structures. And there's a lot of historical parallels that support this. There's feudalism, there's serfdom, there's sharecropping, there's modern wage slavery, which a lot of us have been dealing with. Okay. What their goal is they're looking for the destruction of the environment for short-term gain as well. And we're already seeing this with a lot of the things that are coming out of Project 2025. They're lifting all of the statutes and environmental protections in order to get what they want and get it now. They want to exploit the land and the people on the delusion that they will find another planet or technological fix for living forever. So there's this denial of climate change while investing in these underground bunkers. There's a lot of these space programs that are coming out. These off-grid havens, because when you're living in an anti-gravity environment, you do tend to live longer. Time and space change a little bit up there. And there is a lot of proof and scientific proof to support this. So they want to live longer, and they're finding ways to do that by hoarding and taking things from the collective. Okay. So there's some historical proof of this happening in various times in history and past civilizations. Rome did this, Easter Islands, the Mayans, they collapsed due to the elite overreach and the environmental destruction that the elite were causing. That was Gaia basically saying, stop it, right? So we have a choice. We have the fool's choice, or we have the knight's downfall going on here, all right? The fool must decide to step off into this cliff of spiritual awareness or chase the illusion of material dominance. And this Knight of Swords reversed energy, that warns us that recklessness, that blind ambition will only lead to downfall. We've got multiple societies and histories that prove this. Okay, I talked about the fall of Babylon as well, and Nebuchadnezzar's overreach. So history proves that empires that are built on control, fear, greed, they will collapse because the current oligarchs learn, uh-oh, I am going to die. And then they fall. And then they go, okay, where's the next leader? This happens again and again. So this is the lesson of the moon today, which is in Magha Nakshatra. True power does not come from taking, but from uplifting and protecting. And that is the message that I have for the elites and for the collective moving forward, because without this awareness, we are going to continue to live in this delusion of death doesn't exist and we're going to live forever. And regardless of how little or much money you have, you come into this world naked and screaming, and you leave naked and screaming. And you don't even get to take your body with you, because when you take your first breath, the soul enters, that's the divine prawn. When you take your last breath, that divine ether, that prawn returns to the source and the vibration in which it connects with. In short, the people that are in charge right now lack an inner life. They lack an inner spirituality. That's why they're so obsessed with material wealth. You notice that people surround themselves with material wealth, and that is just, it's a delusion based in fear. If they had set themselves on a spiritual path, on a practice of understanding the divine on a more philosophical bent, they would not be doing the things that they're doing, because they would understand karma, they would understand consequences, they would understand that this birth is one of many in our way to source ananda or bliss, which is finally, taking our little river body and connecting it to the ocean of all. So I hope that was understandable. I have been having the weirdest dreams lately about what it's going to be like living in this new world, this new order. And it's interesting. And I felt that today's astrology mirrored that. And I hope that that was something you all could understand a little bit. And Jacqueline says, we're a skeleton wearing a meat suit. Yes, this is all temporary, just like our homes are temporary, just like a lot of the structures here are temporary. Nothing is built to last. Okay. And then Rose Blue, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. And Keith, I am going to be giving readings later today. It will be at 4 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Central, and 7 o'clock Eastern with Scott. So you're welcome to join us then. We're going to be doing lots of live readings for the audience. And Peace Mama's here. Thank you for the saying good morning, Peace Mama. You have the most beautiful hair. I love your photo. And Rose Blue has some good Mary Thornberry, base of the thumbs, palm side, pressure point the 4 sinuses, and press for 5 seconds. Thank you for the advice, Rose Blue, for the sinuses. We appreciate that. Kelly, the Mystic Next Door, is here. It's lovely to see you, Kelly. Thank you for joining us. And so, yeah, I don't want to miss anybody here. Oh, Tamantha is here. Lovely to see you, Tamantha. Thank you for joining us. So Kelly says, I don't think it's going to work this time. What don't you think is going to work? Oh, the billionaires are building bunkers. Yes, yes, that is correct. They're doing that because they fear death and they're hoarding resources. They don't realize that they're as perishable as we are. And even if they live 10 or 20 more years than the collective, which is actually now happening, because of what they're doing to our food GMO-wise, and the way that people are being worked to death, for the first time, our mortality rates are going down. So they think that in protecting themselves and not supporting the collective, that they're going to live forever. And that's silly. Okay, that's just not the way it's very delusional, in my opinion. So, and Kelly says, we are in the end of Kali Yuga, the age of darkness. Actually, we're about 5,000 years in, and it's about 420,000 years long. So this is what's called the dawning of the Kali Yuga. And what the Kali Yuga represents is, it's the darkest of ages, and it is when the material begins to take over the spiritual. And I got this from a few books. If you've read a few, I'd love to see what you're looking into as well. And Rose Blue says, I want a little tiny house with a vegetable herb garden, a few shade trees. Well, unfortunately, Rose Blue, they're going to take those things away. So that's why it's important for us as a collective to find places on Earth where those things can still exist. I know Southeast Asia is currently full of places like that. One thing I love about countries like Laos, for example, is there's no word for mine. There's no word for ownership, because that's just not part of the culture. Whereas in America, capitalism rules, and it's very much a part of the culture. So if you're in Los Estados Unidos, America, you'll find that these guys are winning, and they're winning hard, and they're not really on the right track right now. Okay, sometimes it takes a few deaths and rebirths for them to figure it out. And then Jonathan says, the way I learned it is this is the beginning of Kali Yuga, more to come. Yeah, that's what we learned too. And we go through the Sivananda Vedanta philosophy. We've also read a number of other books about it as well. And then I'm glad that you liked the reading, Peace Mama. And then let's see. Some people believe that Kali Yuga ends March 1st, 2025. Well, I can tell you Saturn is moving into Pisces during that time, but there is nothing that I've read that supports that. But if the gods come back on that day, I will welcome them. But I haven't read anything that supports that. There is going to be some major, that is in between two major eclipses, and Saturn moving into sidereal Pisces right before another major eclipse. But the way it was described by Jonathan Swami is that we have a long way to go. and that we're going to be living in a world in the future where there isn't going to be marriage, where there are going to be literal egg factories, where children are born in machines, very much like the Matrix, because people can't really trust each other anymore, where the material world is everything and everything is basically controlled by a few. It's kind of like Brave New World, combined with Fahrenheit 451, which is the dissemination of knowledge, a little bit of 1984 and the Matrix, the way that it was kind of described by the Swamis and the seers of Jonathan's following. And this was back in the 70s when he was following the Sivananda organization, and he was a director of those centers and learning from his guru. But there are a lot of philosophies, and this in a lot of the Vedantas is the very beginning, according to the astrological matrix of what's going on. And it's going to be interesting. So yes, there is a Saturn-Neptune conjunction that's coming as well. And that's going to be very interesting as well. And that's going to be happening this month into next month. So we'll see what that brings. And I'll go ahead and give some readings on that as well, if you guys are interested. All right. Yeah, so Jacqueline says you can watch Equilibrium. It's got Christian Bale. It's in 2002, Post-Acopolis. Emotions are banned and reading. Very good. Okay, well, that does support Kali Yuga. They do want to get rid of a lot of our our knowledge, things like that. Now, we are seeing the end of the American Empire and the beginning of a new rule. So that could also represent that March 21st energy. It's going to take a while to roll out, but we're seeing that as well. But I can tell you, just from my astrological studies, and I do have a degree in Jyotish, that is not going to be the end of the world. Okay? All right. So if you're reading that somewhere, okay. Anyway. All right. And then you watched one with Heather yesterday. She interviewed a Yuga scholar. Okay, interesting. I have studied the Yugas as well, and I guess we'll see by the 21st if we're all still here. All right, Hershey, you're in Florida. Wonderful. Okay. So that was the main energy that I got for today. I hope that you guys that resonated for you. I'm wishing you all love as you go throughout Mercury's day, Miraculous, that beautiful divine intellect. And I think it's important that we step into awareness, especially as there are going to be a lot of people stepping out and making very bold proclamations that just aren't true. So that's just my own take on it. That's going on with the oligarchs right now. They're trying to pull the wool over the eyes of the spiritual collective so they can gain more power, more access. They're using spirituality to do it. A lot of control. Know that when you're in a type of narcissistic or dominant relationship, the same goes for a government. So make sure that you're taking steps to protect yourself and your family. And don't think that the world ending in a week is going to keep you from your responsibilities and what you need to do as a soul moving forward. Okay. Don't allow those illusions to keep you from reality. Okay. So I'm sending you all tons of love and light and clarity as we move forward, because know that Neptune can cause illusions. Okay, that's what he's doing in sidereal Pisces, and he's going to be affecting a lot of light workers, and that includes, people that have higher degrees and things like that as well. We saw it during the predictions that were being made about the election, etc. A lot of light workers were being fogged by the Rahu energy and the incoming Neptune energy into thinking that, things were going to go well and that, their person was going to get elected, etc. But the eclipses showed us differently. It proved that Project 2025 is moving forward and that all of the powers that be are going to do everything in their power to do so. So please prepare for that. Do not allow them to put the wool over your eyes and think that everything is going to get magically better. Okay. We need to stay in reality. We need to be aware. That's what today's show is all about. It's about living in reality, looking around and doing what's best for you, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And my heart is with you as you do that. Okay. So, Mary says, do you think much of this is how they're going to control, is that they see the debt-based system collapsing and they don't know what to do? Okay. They created the debt-based system because in order to get control, you first have to destroy. And then you come in as the hero that's building everything up. So they are the system. We are just cogs in that wheel turning. We didn't create it. We didn't come up with it. We are just a part of it. So this is all a part of a plan that they have put together in order to gain more control and more access to resources because they're afraid of death. They think they can conquer it with their wealth, which is a fallacy. So, and enjoy your time in Pensacola, Florida, Hershey. Oh my goodness. So I am sending you all lots of love as you go through today. I'm going to be on tonight with Scott Scorpio Sun, and we're going to be giving readings. And so bring your personal questions. We start at 4 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Central, and 7 o'clock Eastern. And I'm really looking forward to reading with Scott and connecting with you all. So Om Shanti, Om Peace, Om Love to you all. Take care, everyone.
Sacred knowledge from the stars. Vedic truth heals ancient scars. Mantras clear the karmic way, bringing light to guide each day. Let the planets show their signs as the cards and stars combine. Ancient wisdom flows through time.